Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Yo, long time no see. For those of you that was with us earlier, starting the MLB day off 0-1. You love to see it. Yankees -1.5, plus 128 to start. Coming off a great night last night, so maybe this is a little bit of a hot streak starting. Would love it. Hopefully it continues into the bets I have later on. Got Chris on to talk about one WNBA game. That's it. And it's not even a great one. It's Dallas on the road at New York here. 13-point spread. You have anything down on this?
No, I don't, Kyle. And it's really just because I want to see what happens with the injury report. So Sabrina Ionescu missed that game. So these two teams just played. I was on your show the other day when Dallas played New York. It was on today's Thursday, so they played on Tuesday, and it was the same exact spread. And Sabrina Ionescu ended up being ruled out with a neck injury, and they still ended up losing the game by 20 points. Dallas still ended up not covering the spread. So, I mean, historically, they're historically terrible on defense. Last 5 games, I think they've given up like 97 points a game, which is by far the worst in the WNBA. Last 5, last 10, and full season, they're the worst defensive team. And I like Liberty. I think it's difficult for me to want to lay 13 points where you just beat a team by 20. Not sure how serious they'll be with this one. But I will say this. I went back and just looking at some of the numbers. Liberty shot 8 for 28 from the three-point line, 28.6% on Tuesday, and still got the 94 points. Their team total was 94.5. I'm expecting them to shoot the ball a little bit better. I'm not expecting Dallas to play defense at all, because if you're expecting that, you're just trying to catch a fall of knife. So I guess I say all that to say I like over a little bit more. And if I had to play this the game, I would be looking at the Liberty. I know it's a big number, 13, but Dallas is 5-10 against the number on the season. Like, even on the road, they're 5-10, 2-13 straight up. Even without two back, like, they're not defending anybody. They are scoring a little bit, but they were held under 40% and only ended up with 74 points. But I think this one, we see a few more points as long as Fever is rolled in, and it doesn't really matter if Sabrina goes out. I just don't want to play it unless one of those players are in and not both of them being out.
Yeah, I get it. Not a great WNBA night here. But all right, Chris, thanks for joining. Make sure you guys give him a follow. We're going to talk Dallas Cowboy football.
Oh, okay. Hey, yeah. Best of luck to on the rest of those MLB bets. I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, talk to you tomorrow, man.
All right.
Yeah, let's get Winky on the screen. Oh, I can lose the headphones now. We're all in the same room. And AJ, for now, we'll figure it out later, but you can just probably turn the chroma key off on your camera, right? Like, who cares? You just have a green background. Crop Andy's camera and make him bigger so you don't see the top of it. No aura at all on Andy's camera.
No aura. That's crazy.
Let's talk
Turn me and Andy's levels up, and now let me add his chroma. Boom.
And then crop him so you.
So he doesn't look auraless.
My brother needs to fix himself.
There you go. It's a little more aura. Prop Beaver likes that word now.
He's handsome. Look at this man.
He's all about aura.
Super handsome.
And you want to rock with a white background or just lose your...
Yeah, sometimes you just got to lose yourself in the music, in the
cool.
moment.
It's cool with me if you want to rock with that. If it doesn't look bad, it's fine if you want to rock with the white background.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second time somebody rapped on it.
So, Dallas Cowboys. A lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball. We'll start with the offensive line. Now, at first glance, and Prop Beaver was talking about this earlier, first glance, it might not look like Tyron Smith is the hugest loss. I mean, he's aging. I mean, I don't even know the last time he's played a full season. Certainly not the left tackle that he was years ago. Great career, nothing against him, but as of right now, on paper, Tyron Smith isn't a crippling loss based on the player he is now. That being said, there's some issues going on with the Cowboys offensive line, especially right now entering week 1. So obviously they got Tyler Smith, who's an up-and-coming star on the offensive line. But I believe the plan is to start him at left guard and start the tackle that they just drafted. They just took another tackle in the first round, Guyton. The problem is Guyton's hurt right now. He's banged up. It's uncertain whether he's going to be ready for week 1. And their backup left tackle, the guy who got time last year, what's his name? What's the Cowboys' backup left tackle's name? Prop Beaver he played. Remember he got cooked in that one game. What's his name?
I'd have to pull up the depth chart real quick.
Idoga.
Oh, was he on the team last year as well? I'm sorry.
Yeah, he came because remember there was one game last week where he was starting for Tyron Smith, and on the show I was like, guys, this guy can play. We're good. Like, don't worry about Tyron Smith being out. And he got cooked. He allowed like 5 sacks.
Oh, I'm a Jets fan. I could have told you Udoga is absolutely awful. He's a horrendous tackle in football. He's horrible.
Regardless of what your thoughts are on him, he's still the Cowboys' third tackle. And if Guyton isn't ready to go for week 1, Udoga might not be ready to go for week 1. And now we're talking about a third-string left tackle starting on the road in Cleveland in Cleveland was no tougher place for pass protection to go and try to keep their quarterback safe. So, we're talking about the Cowboys' entire season right now, and what I'm saying may be more isolated to their week 1 matchup. But still, that's something that jumps out at me is this offensive line, especially entering the first game of the season on the road in Cleveland. That's really tough. So I'm a little worried about that. Also, the rest of the offense, who is RB1 on the Cowboys right now, Prop Beaver?
Who's RB1? It has to be the guy who averaged 3.5 yards per carry last year and 3.8 yards per carry the year before. Probably Zeke Elliott. Probably the guy who's one of the least efficient, least talented running backs in the NFL right now. Looks about as old as they come.
I don't think he's RB1, though.
What happened?
He can't be RB1.
If he's RB1, this will be Mike McCarthy's last year as an NFL coach for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just telling you that right now. So, there's that. It's just insane. It truly is insane. I don't know if, Ezekiel Elliott has, a blood, trade he did with one of these guys.
Before we continue this conversation, can you put a poll up? Will Ezekiel Elliott lead the Cowboys in carries this year?
It would just be, if you want to make the argument for goal line carries, which me and
carries,
via the numbers would still be dumb because he's not a good short yardage back.
He's not.
He's horrible.
If you give somebody carries first and goal in the 1, they're going to score touchdowns. You can give it to the fullback.
You put anybody.
You put your linebacker there. They'll score touchdowns.
Exactly.
He wasn't a very efficient short yardage back. Jerry Jones, he sells jerseys, so they make sure Ezekiel Elliott gets the touchdowns. No question Ezekiel Elliott is going to get the goal line carries because he scores touchdowns and Cowboys fans buy jerseys, and it's good for the Cowboys brand for Ezekiel Elliott to score touchdowns. No question. But I'm talking about this season. Do you think Ezekiel Elliott is the RB1 on the Cowboys? And if you don't, who is? Is it Rico Dowdle?
It should be. Rico Dowdle, he showed a bit of flashes last year. He's not a guy who has much tread on his tires just due to how many injuries he suffered throughout both his college career and his brief NFL career. This guy's actually been in the NFL for 5 years now, crazy enough. But I do like the talent of Rico Dowdle. I think he's far superior to Zeke at this point of his NFL career. And I think that he should be the bell cow in this offense this season. You got Royce Freeman, who we know who he is at this point of his NFL career. Malik Davis, who in the preseason thus far is averaging 2.5 yards per carry against fourth stringers. Jesus Christ, get off the roster. Yeah, it's to me, it's Rico Dowdle or bust here. If you want to give Ezekiel Elliott some carries for morale, to make Dak happy or whatever, I don't even understand the point of having him on the team. Truly, do that, sure, but Rico Dowdle should be getting the carries here, or look for an outside source. I don't even understand how this is your running back room heading into a season, but whatever.
Yeah, and honestly. So we're talking about the Cowboys offense. I have questions about the offensive line. And by the way, this Cowboys offensive line was pretty mediocre across the board. They weren't bad, but as far as their blocking numbers, their blocking metrics from last season, they're a slightly above average run blocking offense, a slightly below average pass blocking offense. This wasn't a great offensive line last year. It was pretty average. So, it's not like we can sit here and be like, I expect to step forward. Look who's playing center. It's an undrafted free agent, right? Playing center?
The guy who's playing center, Brock Hoffman, I believe. Not drafted, so that's always awesome. And yeah, this is his second season, so I mean, they're just rolling out an undrafted center, so that's always awesome. Their left guard is gonna be, if Tyler Guyton can't go week 1, which he just left the practice yesterday with his sore left knee, that's not really great with Chuma Doga already out. Then Tyler Smith is gonna have to move to left tackle. Then your interior left side of the line is gonna be a major concern, and that's just not good because we already have another big hole that we haven't even mentioned yet. CeeDee Lamb has not practiced. Hello, this is the guy who was an All-Pro and led the NFL in receptions last year. He is the Dallas Cowboys offense. Did you notice that in that Packers game last year when they were force-feeding Lamb and it wasn't clicking, the Cowboys offense was a whopping pile of shit? Yeah, if CeeDee Lamb isn't operating, the Cowboys offense isn't operating. So when you have him not on the field, that is wildly concerning to me. They need to get this guy paid. They need to get him practicing because if he gets hurt, that is the season's lost. I mean, not being on the field, not practicing is not only just from a pure reps perspective, from an injury standpoint, you're putting yourself more at risk for soft tissue injuries. Like this is just like bad now. And Jalen Tolbert's going to be your third wide receiver. A, is he that good? B, the guy got close to 0 reps last year. I'm just like, there are so many question marks on this offense. I'm scared, honestly. I'm scared.
Look, this is the one part where I'll disagree with you a little bit. I'm with you on the concerns with the offensive line, especially with the injuries. I'm with you on the concern at running back, because what the hell? I'm with you all the way there. But when it comes to CeeDee Lamb, I think he'll be on the field some way, somehow. I think they'll figure it out and he'll be out there. But when it comes to that, when it comes to the Cowboys passing attack, look, I hate Dak Prescott's contract. They've been restructuring him every offseason and crippling the Cowboys' future for years. I hate the contract. I hated every single restructure along the way. But I do believe in him as a quarterback. There's been so many times where people start to doubt Dak Prescott, and you know what? He goes out there and he throws 35 touchdowns. And I believe in Dak Prescott. I believe he is legitimately top 10 quarterback. Obviously, he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It comes with a lot of polarizing comments. People hate him. People love him. People are going to overrate him. People are going to underrate him. But no question, if Dak Prescott's out there, the Cowboys are going to score points. No question. I believe in Dak Prescott. But the rest of your concerns, 100% based in fact. And if CeeDee Lamb ends up not being out there for week 1, we're speaking in hypotheticals. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but I still think, well, actually, week 1's a weird example because it's Cleveland in Cleveland. But let's say for some crazy reason, CeeDee Lamb doesn't play for the Cowboys this year, which is obviously not even probably a possibility. But let's say that happens. I still think Dak Prescott will throw 35 touchdowns and score a bunch of points just because I've never seen Dak Prescott not show up for a season. Like, has Dak Prescott ever had a down year?
But to be fair, though, he's always had an Amari Cooper, who's a fantastic NFL wide receiver. Amari Cooper's one of the crispest route runners in all of football. I mean, you saw what this dude did last year with Joe Flacco at quarterback. I mean, he put on a fucking legacy performance. Excuse my language. That's how excited I got. That dude put on a goddamn legacy performance. And then CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he proved me wrong last year. I thought he was a slot merchant. Oh, my God. He was outstanding last year.
Would Amari Cooper Amari Cooper have put up CeeDee Lamb numbers last year if he didn't leave and he stayed in Lamb's place?
It depends on if he got that many targets. I think it's all about opportunity in an offense.
Of course. But I think if you take out CeeDee Lamb last year and put Amari Cooper at wide receiver 1, I think he puts up CeeDee Lamb's season.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I do think Lamb is a bit more talented than Cooper at this stage of his career. Lamb is a bit younger. He's a bit more mobile. I mean, I think
Cooper's a freaking beast, bro.
He's a freaking beast, though. I think Cooper has the more, what is it? The big, like, the jump ball ability.
Yeah.
More so than Lamb. Whereas Lamb's route running ability is a bit more crisp. But I mean, dude, Amari Cooper, as I just said, one of the best route runners in football. So it's really, I don't know. It's tough. So
Cowboys offense as a whole takes a step backwards.
I think it has to. How does it not?
Yeah, it's tough to make it. Andy?
I'm going to take a step backwards. If they can get CeeDee Lamb on the field in the first few weeks, maybe it'll help, but I think that'll take a while for him to get back in a rhythm. I mean, like I think Prop Beaver said before we started, football players have to practice football before they play. I agree with that 100%. So I do think that'll take it'll take a little bit for him to be back. And like he just said, Dak Prescott has never not had a number one receiver. So that does definitely scare me a little bit there. But I still do agree with you. He's never had a completely down year either. He's never been the reason the Cowboys have lost. So I think he'll be fine, but it might take a couple weeks. Overall, they're not going to be able to run for shit. So they're going to have to throw the ball a lot.
Yeah. Someone saying Cooper can't catch passes. He drops everything. Someone didn't watch Cleveland Browns football last year. He's like one of the best receivers in the league with Joe Flacco.
I'll just let the tape speak for itself at the end of last season.
Shouldn't even respond to that. All right, so let's switch it over to the defense. The problem with the Cowboys defense is 2 years in a row now. You can look at the Cowboys defense in weeks 1 through 8 and look at the Cowboys defense in weeks 9 through 16 or 17, or 9 through 18, I guess I should say. And you're almost looking at two different units. That's 2 years in a row where the second half of the season, they were completely different. And 2 years in a row where in the first half of the season, their pass rush looked unstoppable. They looked like one of the best, if not the best defense in the league. And then come the end of the year, you don't really trust the Cowboys defense anymore. And I honestly don't even know what causes that. Why is the Cowboys pass rush so much easier to deal with in week 14 than week 3? It doesn't make any sense to me, but we've seen it in back-to-back seasons, so there has to be something to it. I can't really put my finger on what that is.
That's a great point. And honestly, when I've been coming and bringing some info to the table, a lot of the stuff that I've been bringing forth has been from the FTN Almanac. They've done a really great job with that. Got to give them props. You know, I think it's important to give credit to the sources that you're bringing forth. So FTN Almanac, Aaron Schatz and them, they did a really great job with that. I gotta say, though, a bit disappointed with what they brought forth with the Cowboys defensive section, though. I was really hoping to get a better read for you guys on what Mike Zimmer would be bringing to this offense with the change from Dan Quinn. And unfortunately, I just don't really know what we're going to see and what the difference will be with that. And also, I was kind of wondering the same thing as you, Kyle, because that is an interesting point. Why does this defense, at the end of every season, start to fall off? It makes no sense to me. They do, at the end of every season, begin to fall off. I mean, it is weird. You can see it kind of at the charts there. You see the pressure numbers in the red. Just all the green to begin the year and then red at the end of the year. I mean, I could try and slow that down a bit for you guys. I'll pause it right there.
Yeah, actually put that graphic up. That's a good graphic.
So as you can see right there, if you're looking at weeks 12 through 13, 14, 15, 16, if you go to the pressure numbers, which is the second to last column on the right, you could see 22nd, 20th, 18th, 30th in pressure rate. And then also, it was also leading to some great passing performances for their opposing quarterbacks. I mean, 97 pass rating allowed to Geno Smith. He went into Dallas and carved those boys on Thursday Night Football, I believe it was. Remember that? I was like, Jesus. Philly, Jalen Hurts put a 92 pass rating in that game. Even Tua, 98 passer rating in that game. So
the Bills ran all over the Cowboys in the game in between.
We all remember that game. I mean, honestly, that's the game where Joe Brady's game plan really came to the forefront. It's like, wow, this is gonna be an offense that runs the hell out of the ball. So yeah, I mean, this is just a defense that falls apart towards the back half of the year. And honestly, this is a unit that I feel like this is the unit that lost so much in terms
I disagree
of
there.
their pieces.
No, I disagree there. I like the Cowboys defense as far as the personnel. You still got Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence on the defensive line.
Okay.
Mozzie Smith, as you were saying, they told him to put the weight back on.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what the hell that was. Mozzie Smith's a big guy at Michigan. He brought that ferocity, and he was a great run stuffer due to his size. And then last year, they're like, okay, lose some weight. Why? He lost his weight. He lost that ferocity, and the people were running right by him. So Mike Zimmer came right in. They were like, all right, better double up on those Chipotle Bowls. So thank God, hopefully, he's going to put some weight on and get right back to those run stuff and ways, because honestly, that was a bit of a weakness for that Cowboys rush defense last year, right? So hopefully that could be a thing for them, strengthen that core of that rush defense, because he needs to perform a bit better last year. I didn't think he was that good last year.
I don't know if I would include Mozzie Smith's Chipotle orders in the analysis of the defense.
I'm the Chipotle king. I eat it every day.
But I will say, that I still believe in him in his development. I think Mozzie Smith could be a decent piece there, a defensive tackle. And like I said, you still got DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, elite defenders on the defensive line. Now at linebacker, obviously everyone saw Damone Clark come on last year. He was great. I think there's a lot of high hopes for him, but it's not just him. You got two really good, really athletic young linebackers. I know everyone's looking at Eric Kendricks, right? They brought in Eric Kendricks from, where was he the last year? The Vikings? He's been everywhere.
Everywhere. I mean, geez.
So they bring in Eric Kendricks, and people are like, oh, he's old and slow. Yeah, true. But you shouldn't even be looking at Eric Kendricks. He's just a placeholder. I mean, he'll see some snaps, veteran. He's good in pass coverage. He's probably slowing down, but he's good at making reads, decision-making, football IQ. Whatever. Shouldn't even be talking about Eric Kendricks. Cowboys are loaded with young, athletic linebackers here. There's Damone Clark, where if you watched the Cowboys defense last year, you already know he came on, I mean, out of nowhere. It was like, holy shit, who the fuck is this guy? Like, he was crazy athletic. But you also got Overshawn. And Cowboys fans know who this is. Non-Cowboys fans might not know who this is. He was a third-round pick from the Cowboys last year from Texas, and he was looking great. Cowboys fans were really fired up about this kid. Got injured, didn't play all of last year. He actually just resumed practice like a week and a half ago, and apparently he's wowing people again. This kid Overshawn's a linebacker for the Cowboys. Crazy athlete. So a lot of people forgot about him because he was a draft pick from last year. And also they just drafted Liafu or whatever in the third round this year. So that's two. There's three young freak athlete linebackers the Cowboys have there that I think are going to come on. And doesn't really get talked about, but linebackers seem to hit in Dallas. Like Jalen Smith looked like the man there. Leighton Vander Esch looked like the man there. This kid Damone Clark. Like these athletic linebackers seem to hit for Dallas. So I actually think those three young athletes are going to be dominant. And so I'm on board with the Cowboys defense, as I love their secondary too. Even without Gilmore. I mean, Gilmore was cool last year, but still, look at the Cowboys secondary. You can't be upset with that unit. Bland, Jordan Lewis, and Trevon Diggs. You'll take those three corners any day of the week. Also, Hooker and Donovan Wilson as safety. Donovan Wilson was making some plays last year. I'm cool with the Cowboys defense across the board. Personnel, I think on paper, could be one of the best defenses in the NFL. The only question I have is, same thing I said in the beginning, can they play for 17 weeks? Because I don't know what the hell is causing that not to happen.
I just want to go ahead and look at some ranks for this defensive unit. Where were they amongst other defenses? I'm assuming they were, again, amongst the top in the NFL. Fourth in EPA per play, fifth in DVOA. I mean, that's the top five.
You see the success rate down, though? Because they racked up a lot of defensive stats in like those blowout. You know what I mean? Like 42-0 against the Giants. They rack up like 9 sacks.
So the run defense not great again, and the pass defense. My concern with this defense, a lot of people are going to be talking about how Trevon Diggs is coming back, and that should offset the Stephon Gilmore thing. Because if you think about it, Stephon Gilmore, I mean, these obviously should not be as good as Trevon Diggs. Trevon Diggs, one of the best cornerbacks in football when healthy. Problem is, this is a cornerback coming off of an ACL tear, and cornerback's one of the toughest positions to play with an ACL tear because you're making so many lateral movements against some of the fastest, most athletic wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, I guess Kyle was making my point a minute before, but you are playing a lot of tough wide receivers on this Cowboys schedule later. I mean, if you just think about the division, you're playing Terry McLaurin, Malik Neighbors, and A.J. Brown 6 times a year. And I don't know if it's going to change under Mike Zimmer, but at least under Dan Quinn, they were playing some press coverage, heavy man press coverage all the time. So that's a lot of stress to be putting on Trevon Diggs there. And then Deron Bland, he was good last year. Is he that good? I mean, he was looking like
was in the right place at the right time.
Year.
He was in the right place at the right time for a lot of those pick sixes. He's cool though. Yeah. He's cool.
I think that if Trevon Diggs falters a bit and Bland is legit, like if he is, maybe he's not racking up that many picks, because I think a little bit of interceptions is a bit of luck, of course. But if he is that legitimate in terms of coverage, then he should be able to pick up a bit of Diggs' slack and keep them in terms of DVOA and stuff as a top 10 pass defense, especially with that pass rush. But yeah, I mean,
well, Andy, what do you think about a corner coming off ACL?
Scares the shit out of me, that's for sure.
Andy's scared of.
Yeah, I don't like. I wouldn't love that if my top corner was coming off a mid-season.
I don't know. I'm not too worried about it.
I don't know.
That ACL shit.
Has he? I don't remember if he has had previous injuries from college or anything, but I would be a little bit nervous the first couple of weeks. But it's very rare that you see a guy completely lose it because he tore his ACL. But it's something you could worry about.
I think it's much more common nowadays for a player to make a full recovery from those kinds of injuries than it was years ago. I don't put as much stock into it, and I also think Trevon Diggs has more help in the secondary this year than he's had in years past.
Definitely.
Where I don't think it's necessarily going to be Trevon Diggs' press coverage on the number one wide receiver with no help. I don't think they're even going to do that. So I'm not worried at all. Cowboys defense on paper, it's good by me. My only question is, can Dan Quinn stop getting outcoached in the second half of the year? Can he spread his success out a little bit more, being the best defense in the league for 10 weeks and then giving up 58 points to the Packers in the most important game of the year?
Well, we don't got to worry about Dan Quinn not spreading it out to the back half of the year.
Oh, my God.
Dan Quinn is gone. We got no Dan Quinn. So if Dan Quinn falters in the back half of the year again, we'll know it's Dan Quinn's special in Washington.
Yeah. So maybe Mike Zimmer could switch it up.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that Washington defense is going to be ass from week 1. So, yeah. Well, we'll discuss that in the later preview.
Win-loss?
But let's talk about the schedule.
Let's play the win-loss game.
Yeah, and I think actually I actually want to play the win-loss game with you.
Oh, yeah, bro, you love it.
This is a bit of a weird schedule for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a team that I think are very strong in terms of their home-away splits, as we've seen.
Last year was crazy.
Pretty much every year. I mean, this team is significantly better at home. They love playing.
Dak Prescott was
AT&T
basically prime Tom Brady at home last year.
Dude, oh my Lord.
On the road, though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could say that for the defense too, though. I mean, this defense is a lot more vulnerable away from AT&T
Also, though,
Stadium.
their schedule was a little bit more favorable at home.
And now we get to see this year if it's the same exact thing. So let me pull that up.
Week 1, I honestly think that might be a loss, especially with going into Cleveland with a banged-up offensive line. I don't like that at all.
I don't like it either. I mean, I hope Deshaun's healthy. He's
How about this?
already missing time.
This is what I want. I'll give you a loss in week 1. Give me a win in week 3.
I think the Ravens are going to stink this year.
Everyone's
I'll
cool
give
with
you a win
that?
in week 3.
2-1 after the Baltimore game?
You guys can be cool with that. I got them 1-2.
You're such a sack of shit, Andy.
All right.
2-1.
All right.
No, we're all 2-1.
Fine.
Andy's being a dick.
Fine.
Fine. Week 4. How about this? They drop one of the Giant Steelers game. They always beat the Giants, but that shit is not going to last forever. There's no way they're just going to not lose to the Giants for 25
I'll give you
years.
that, but it's more likely they lose to the Steelers.
They beat the Giants and lose to the
Yeah.
Steelers. Lose to Pittsburgh. Steelers are going to be able to run the ball this year. I mean, they could be 4-1 after that. So we have 3 or 4 wins after the Steelers. Home against Detroit. It's the Lions, man.
I think that's a loss.
It's hard to poke holes in the Lions. I'm not even the biggest. And then also, considering the Lions, the Cowboys won this game against Detroit last year, on some bullshit.
Yeah,
that I think the Lions get it back.
One thing I will say is that the Lions in the past, it's the Lions have been a lot worse on the road. A, they started to play a lot better on the road last year.
Yeah, they did.
And B, Jared Goff, if you get him in the road on the dome, it's not nearly as bad. It's actually fun. So Jared Goff in the road.
That's a loss, man.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? Let me switch it up. I'll take the Giants and the Steelers as wins, and we'll take a Detroit as a loss. So we'll go 4-2 into the bye. Everyone cool?
Yeah, and considering they're
No, Andy's probably got him at 1
by
and
San
5.
Francisco.
I'm 3-3 yet.
How about this? Comments. What's the Cowboys record going into the bye here in those 6 games? 4-2? You drop Cleveland, maybe Baltimore, maybe Detroit. I could see how you can make it 3-3. They losable games. They could drop Baltimore at home. They could drop Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. They can drop the Lions. You got to go 3-3 or 4-2 going into the bye week.
I just asked. I put a poll up.
There's not as many active people for the preview videos as there are for the live bets, obviously. But
we appreciate the few and brave if you want.
The few and brave.
The few, the proud, the brave.
You're my little Marines.
People are voting 3-3.
Yeah, I've got them 3-3 here.
Yeah, we know, Andy. You're a Packers fan and you don't like the Cowboys. Andy's incapable of removing bias.
Everything is biased according to you. That's not even me being biased.
Night Owl 4-2. TWD 3-3. Let's say 4 wins for just to see where we end up. Honestly, I love how they get San Francisco out of the bye. I'll say that. But on the road in San Francisco, that team owns them. You can't give them a win. I'm just saying.
They could have 3 weeks headed into San
Give
Francisco.
me 6.5. Give me 7. I might consider taking the points, but no, you can't count that as a win.
They could have a whole nother offseason.
They'll take Atlanta though. The Eagles. Shit. How about this? We'll just give them one of the Philly games, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're 1-1. So let's put them at 5 wins with a possible 6th. Houston home. Jesus Christ, bro.
Christ on a Christ.
Monday Night Football against Houston. That's where we see Dak choke.
It gets a little lighter after the Cincinnati game. But
Giants.
Sorry.
Hold on.
Yeah,
So
I got
like
them under
Houston's, let's say Houston's a loss. At Washington win. That's 7 wins. No, that's 6 wins. I'm sorry. 6 wins. 6 wins with a possible 7th after Washington. Giants. Bengals. I mean, they should get to 10 wins.
I didn't even want to do it. I wanted to come into this being like, oh, I mean, this team should just fly over 10 wins, right? I mean,
You
how
put
much
an
could
under up
possibly
for
take?
yourself?
Yep.
Dude, where are the...
Yeah.
No way.
This team's not great, dude. This team's not great. Tell your boy to get to practice, and I'll bet the over. Tell your boy to get to practice.
It's not going to matter. He's going to return to practice next
when he
week,
gets
and
a
it's not
friggin'
going to
soft
mean...
tissue injury and
Remember
he's
when
out for 6
everyone
weeks,
said
and
the
Dak's
same
throwing to Brandon
shit?
Cooks all day.
We were having the same conversation with Chris Jones and the Chiefs last year. What did the Chiefs do? He came back and won the fucking Super Bowl. He's going to be fine, bro.
Okay, but it's different, bro.
It's
different.
talking points to get people clicking and talk about the NFL. He's fine.
It's different. Chris Jones, it's different to come
Just
off
not
the
different.
line and to push than to run routes. It's very different. It is severely
You're
different.
reaching. It's a player holding out. They'll work it out and he'll be on the field. It's not the end of the world. But
this
CeeDee
is
Lamb's
an
holding
old
out.
tone.
The Cowboys go from a 13-win team to a 6-win team, according to Prop Beaver.
I think
'cause
there's
one
a
player's
reason
holding out.
that the team that's 12-5, 3 straight seasons in a row, has their win total at 9.5. I'm betting the under.
Give me the over, because 10 is way more likely than 9. I'm not even big on the Cowboys this year. I think there's a lot of questions, but I mean, it's juiced to -150. No chance that I bet this one. Andy's biased as fuck with his 9.5.
Whatever. This is
Super biased take by Andy. I'm
Super
at least
biased.
glad you recognize that.
All right, let's talk real ball.
All right, time for some real ball, guys.
Yep.
Real ball.
Jesus Christ.
9 Indiana.
9 Windiana. No bullshit. That's what they're saying this year. 9 Windiana. And in all seriousness, they do have reason to be optimistic here. I mean, this conference is loaded now. The Big Ten. They had Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC. Already was the strongest conference in college football. Got even stronger. So, I mean, they have their work cut out for them, Indiana. But, I mean, it's a new era in Indiana football. And they might have the talent to take a step forward. At least a lot of people think so. 9 Windiana. So, anyway, Tom Allen, head coach, gone. Fired after 7 years, just 9 wins combined in the last 3 years. It's time for Tom Allen to go. I like Tom Allen, but it was time for
Yeah,
it was time.
It was definitely time.
Signetti takes over as head coach. If you don't know who that is, he's been with James Madison for the last 5 years. He's the guy that brought James Madison up, brought them into the FBS, the new wave of James Madison football. That's him, Signetti. So he's out here at Indiana now. He brought both of his coordinators with them. So basically, the entire James Madison coaching staff is now the Indiana coaching staff. They also brought a bunch of players with them, but we'll get to that in a second. So quarterback, look, I think Indiana thinks they got their guy. I think that Indiana thinks. Whether or not they have their guy, it's a different question. I think Indiana thinks they have their guy. They got Curtis Rourke in from Ohio. He's been one of the better quarterbacks, one of the best quarterbacks in the MAC conference for 3 years now. Certainly experienced. We've seen him play. He's got talent. I mean, this kid can play. Whether throwing the ball on Big Ten defenses is a little different than throwing the ball in the MAC, but no question, they're pumped about it, Indiana. They like Curtis Rourke as their guy.
Yeah, they think they have their guy just like Baylor thinks they have their guy. It's very similar to me. MAC quarterbacks coming into these big conferences. It's another one of those, like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But it is a guy with experience, and I think they needed that because the rest of this team is very inexperienced in terms of Big Ten play like this. But I think it'll be he's a solid option, I guess. would be my
Yeah,
word.
that your last sentence there is a good way to describe a lot of the Indiana roster. Very experienced, not very Big Ten experience. So that's a good way to describe the Indiana roster this year. So their top 4 rushers are gone. All the running backs wearing an Indiana jersey last year are gone, but they brought in a ton of transfers. Kalen Black from James Madison, he was the RB1 last year. He came with the coaching staff. They also brought in a RB from North Carolina. They also brought in a back from Wake Forest. So they've got running backs, and dude, the Indiana rushing attack was so bad last year that it has to be better. Like the Indiana couldn't run the ball at all last year. So I think it's an upgrade at running back, even though it's completely brand new and unproven. They do bring their wide receiver 1 back from last year, McCulley. They also brought in, shocker, James Madison wide receiver 1 from last year, Elijah Sarrett. I think he had 1,100 last year. So WR1 from James Madison here.
First
Shocker.
team all Sun Belt. Yeah.
Was he first team all Sun Belt?
First
Didn't even
team
know
all
that.
Sun Belt.
Okay.
Yep.
So, wow. Okay. So Sarrett, the wide receiver they brought back their wide receiver 1, and their wide receiver 2 essentially is going to be first team all Sun Belt from James Madison. And want to know who their tight end is? Shocker. James Madison's tight end last year. He came also. So receivers definitely upgraded without a question. 4 starters back on the offensive line, and those are Big Ten offensive linemen. Andy.
Well, this is the thing about that. So it's not technically 4. Okay. Phil Steele wrote it, and I saw that it looks like
4.
ESPN. 4 starters are back for Signetti. 2 of them are from Indiana. 2 of them are from JMU.
Way to write that.
That is so bad. 2 of them are from JMU. So technically they are starters back in this system, but they're not starters in the Big Ten, which is why I don't know why they broke it down like that. So there's 2 starters back from Indiana back. Yeah. 2 back from Indiana, 2 from JMU. So 4 mixed together are technically back, but they're not all back Big Ten. These 2 JMU guys are not.
That is crazy. It says 4 starters back in the article, AJ.
It is very dumb.
That is disgusting and libel.
Yeah. Yeah, awful. But yeah, that's
so it's only 2 starters from Indiana
and 2 from JMU.
That's some scum. Oh wow!
Right?
I might write Phil Steele a strongly worded letter.
Write a
So apologies. 2 starters back from Indiana's offensive line last year, and 2 starters come from James Madison's line. But still an experienced offensive line. Can't take that away from them. Experienced offensive line. Should be better, you would think, than last year. So as far as the offense, no question that on paper, you make a strong argument they upgraded. The only question is what we were alluding to before. Can these guys perform at the Big Ten level? Because a lot of them haven't. I mean, you got Curtis Rourke from the MAC. The running back comes from the Sun Belt. Wide receiver, tight end come from the Sun Belt. 2 offensive linemen come from Sun Belt. So that's not the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That is certainly not the Big Ten. They're going to see NFL caliber opponents now. So we'll see. Certainly experienced though.
Yeah.
On the other side, 2 starters gone from the defensive line, but they bring over 2 pieces from James Madison. 2 James Madison defensive linemen. The 2 best linebackers on Indiana's roster are gone, but they brought in some transfers from James Madison.
Yeah.
Their 2 leading tacklers are in. So one thing I will say, okay, so as far as the Indiana front 7, 4 of the starters are from James Madison last year. And yes, we're going to make the same point. Sun Belt's different than Big Ten, but I will say James Madison's run defense last year was fucking official.
Yeah,
it was good.
It was
as
a great
hell.
run defense overall.
So, like, if there's one unit of James Madison that I think could perform at a Big Ten level, it would be their defensive front.
Yeah.
Go look at the James Madison run. We don't have it loaded up because we have Indiana stats. When we do the week 1 video, the handicapping video, we'll put it up. But if you're on a computer, go look at James Madison's run defense numbers last year. Yeah. No one ran the ball on that team. So they brought 4 pieces of that defensive front over. So if I'm an Indiana fan, I'm pumped about that, honestly.
Yeah, that's a little bit better in terms of it translating, but I will say JMU didn't exactly have to face Big Ten offenses still. I would say
Arkansas State.
Yeah, the schedule definitely was a little worse for JMU last year. But yeah, this was kind of part of the reason I wasn't super high. I love the hire, don't get me wrong. I don't love the idea of building JMU in the Big Ten, which is basically what he was trying to do. I guess
it's gonna be what his only option was.
It probably was, especially at Indiana. This is a place that's more basketball than football, but I don't. That's why I'm not super high on them, because I do think they have a lot of talent. But how Big Ten is that talent? Probably not, because this team was really bad last year, and now you're bringing in guys that went 13-0 in the Sun Belt. But are they going to translate? I have no idea. So I'm not super.
I don't think
high
anyone
on
could
that.
say for sure. I just noticed that Andy says crispy capping under him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So anyway, but 5 of the top 8 defensive backs are back. They brought in a couple transfers. So as a whole, I think Indiana fans, Hoosier fans, have a reason to be excited about the future. I think there are brighter days in Indiana. Is 2024 part of those brighter days? Tough to say.
I will say that there is something on there. When we pull up their schedule, I'll bring it up. But there is something very interesting about their schedule that they kind of got pretty fortunate with their first 5 conference games. Or 6, I should say.
Let's check it out. Let's play the win-loss game. All right. Let's play win-loss game. I wish there was a way we could put it up on the screen and the viewers could pick win or loss in the game, so we can look at like an individual poll.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me write that down on a note.
Write that down.
Let's see if there's a way we could do that. Okay. So Prop Beaver's getting the schedule up. Week 1, FIU.
That's a win.
Week 2, Western Illinois.
That's a win.
You can put it in the board. 2-0.
Yeah. This is a tough one because I do think UCLA is going to be bad, but that's
I don't like
road,
UCLA,
that's a road trip to UCLA.
That
That's
entire
tough.
team was their pass rush last year, and their defensive front, it's all gone.
Yeah, I know. I'll give them the win. I'm just saying.
Win there.
It's weary because it's a tough travel game.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
Which means, and I don't mean to be this guy, they're going to play a close one with Charlotte. It's going to be a close game. They're going to win it, but it's going to be a close game.
Charlotte's. How about this? They'll take one of UCLA and Charlotte.
Okay.
Let's go 3-1.
I'm just saying, I think if they
Home
go
versus
in.
Maryland's a win, bro.
Yeah, I think they get. That's why I think they were very
4-1,
fortunate with the early
At
conference.
Northwestern stuff.
That's being
that's
played at a
winnable.
practice facility, so it's going to be a weird freaking game. Yeah, it's going to be a weird one.
How about we give them one of Northwestern or home Washington?
So then you already have them at 5.
Yeah, their total's 5.5 juice to the over. So we need to get to 6 or 7.
Okay.
So lost to Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
So
Lost
we'll give
to
them
Michigan
one of
State.
Northwestern or Washington because Washington lost everybody, including the coach.
Yeah,
everybody.
that whole team.
So we're going to give them one or Northwestern and Washington, which puts us at 5 wins with 4 to play. At Michigan State.
Lost.
Why do you have such a hard on for Michigan State?
Loss.
All right. Loss. Purdue is a loss.
Yeah, I see
Damn it.
5 would be a really great season for this team.
I thought we were going to get to 6, bro. Under. I got them at 5 wins. Damn it. Hoosiers, I'm with you,
I
though.
will
Like,
say
I'm
that
pumped about your future.
I will say
just-
that Purdue game will be a tighter
No,
one
I
than
like
you
Purdue.
think it will be. Why do
we'll get
you
there.
like Purdue so much? We're doing
we'll
them
get
now.
there.
Side
We're doing
being
Purdue in a few teams, and I'll tell you, I'm
They're
a
the next team.
Boilermaker guy. Next.
Purdue.
No, Purdue's not next.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, shit, Purdue is next. What a segue. What a segue.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Is that why you did that?
Yeah.
Wow. And just what a professional Andy is. Just segue in. I didn't even know Purdue was next. All right, Purdue. So, all right, I'll come out and say it. I may be a little impartial here.
You don't say.
We didn't even get started yet. I loved the Ryan Walters hire last year for Purdue. I talked a lot about it. If you watched the show last year, you probably remember me talking about how Ryan Walters was a great hire for Purdue. This is his second year as head coach. Brief history, if you don't know who Ryan Walters is, this is the guy that built Illinois' defense into a powerhouse. Illinois into a defensive powerhouse in 3 years. And what I kept saying last year was that I love the hire, but when he took the Illinois job, the DC job, the defense wasn't much better in the first year. Took 3 years. The second year was much better. Third year was one of the best defenses in the country. Here we are in year 2, and what we already saw a jump in Purdue's defense. They went from the worst defense in the Big Ten, I'd say, 2 years ago. When they had O'Connell, they could score points. Their
that
defense
team
was
was
trash.
yeah, they were in 60-point games all the
Their
time.
defense took a jump last year. So I think we've already started to see the beginning of, let's call it the Walters effect. I'm a Walters guy. So I think Purdue's defense, just based on the coach in his second year of the system alone, should jump. Now let's talk about this season. 63rd in returning production, 14 returning starters. Quarterback's back, and I don't think he's nearly as bad as the rep he gets. You like Hudson Card?
He's all right. There's no quarterback I have less of an opinion on than him. He's
what the hell does
he's
that
like
mean?
whatever. Cool. Good quarterback.
What do you mean you
fine.
have less of a... Do you like him or not?
He's fine. He's average. He's good. You seem to love this team. I want to hear why. That's more than
Okay. Hudson Card, Texas guy. And what happens is, and you could throw some DJU on here. This has happened at a lot of quarterbacks at the collegiate level. When they get the shot at these huge, hyped programs like a Texas or a Miami.
Clemson with DJU is a perfect example.
When you get that job and it doesn't go to plan, you're branded as like a shitty quarterback. And that's kind of what happened to Hudson Card. Not only that, he wasn't even really healthy with Texas. He kept getting hurt. So they have Hudson Card, a guy that just as recent as 2 years ago, Texas thought was going to be their next guy. So this is a guy that had sky-high potential. I thought he played pretty well last year. And what I liked about Hudson Card, finished the season like a gangster. In his last 2 games of the year, 526 yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks. He also rushed for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dude, 8 all-purpose touchdowns, 660 yards of offense in his last 2 games. First year at Purdue, starting to figure it out at the end of the season. Hudson Card, a lot of potential, coming back, like it. Hudson Card season. Anyway, Purdue won both those games, by the way. Their RB1 is back. Their leading rusher from last season, and they brought in Illinois' RB1. So they have 2 starting running backs from the Big Ten last year on one team. Badass, loaded running back room. All positive. Thumbs up for Purdue. Let's keep going. Now, the top 2 wide receivers are gone. They did bring in a couple pieces, couple transfers from your Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, they did.
If there's a group that I'll accept criticism from, Purdue's receivers probably are an issue.
Yeah, this is an unproven unit.
Yeah,
Very unproven.
I'll give you that. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
No pushback from me there.
CJ Smith will be good, but he's a few
Is that
years
one of the
away.
Georgia kids?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
really good.
So 4 starters back on the offensive line. You love it. You love to see it.
Yes, and they weren't the worst unit, but
So 4 starters back on the offensive
Weren't
line. 2 starting Big Ten running backs in the same running back room. Hudson Card back for another year. Coach another year in the system. All 2 thumbs up for the Purdue offense, right?
yeah, I think it'll be fine. The receivers scare me a little bit. The O-line will be better, right? It wasn't great, but it'll be better. But they don't need to have I don't think. I agree with you. I think the defense will take an even bigger step this year. They don't have to be a super great offense, but yeah, it's a decent unit overall.
Now, let's go over to the defense, and this is where Andy's going to try to talk some shit. But let me remind you, Ryan Walters is a defensive mastermind. And what position group did we see him develop the most at Illinois? The secondary. Where are they loaded? The secondary. You're not going to be able to throw on this Purdue team. Now, if you want to talk some shit about the defensive line, I don't really have a response. They kind of are lacking the talent, and as good of a defensive mind you are, you don't have the talent on the defensive line. It's a struggle. I'm pretty sure they only bring back 1 piece from last year. 3 transfers in, so maybe they hit on a couple transfers, but I don't really have a comeback when it comes to the defensive line for Purdue. I don't know how I feel about it, which is concern. I'll give you that. But from their back, I mean, Karlaftis is back. You know, the dude on the Chiefs comes from this school. This is his brother, right? Karlaftis' little brother, linebacker, he's back. And they still have Jenkins rushing the edge, 7.5 sacks. So they still have the pass rush. They still got the linebacker. So, yeah, the defensive line, okay, it's a little bit of a concern. Still got athletes at linebacker. And the secondary looks good. They lost their best player in the secondary, Kane, who's on the Ravens. He led the team in tackles. That sucks. Other than that, pretty much everyone is back. And it's Walters. Ryan Walters developing the secondary. They also brought in another transfer from your dogs in the secondary.
They did, and he is a very highly recruited player. He was 19th in the nation overall, second corner, 5-star, 98 grade. That was 2 years ago. Hasn't played much. Obviously, he was at Georgia. He was pushed back by a lot of really good corners. So, yeah, he's going to be really good for them. I like the secondary. I will give you that. I'm worried about the D-line. Don't get me wrong. That's a bunch of transfers overall, but yeah, the secondary is going to be really good. I think it's going to be, depending on the quarterbacks that are on their schedule, it's going to be very hard to throw on this team. I will agree with
100%.
you.
Now here we get to the toughest part, because I'm big on Purdue. Love the direction the team's heading. The schedule is a nightmare for Purdue. They really got screwed.
Yeah, well, I mean, they chose to play that.
Oh, actually, Rutgers wouldn't even be an easy one.
They chose to play Purdue here. I mean,
Notre Dame.
They chose to play Notre Dame. That's on them. Oregon State's not going to be a pushover either.
But in Corvallis?
Yeah, so
I hate Corvallis, bro. I don't like to. All right, let's talk about it. Schedule. Prop Beaver's getting it up. Win week 1. Week 2's a loss.
Yeah.
At Oregon State.
I got them losing to Oregon State. I don't think Oregon State's going to be great, but that's a tough place to go play
taking a
early.
win
Those
there.
fans are
I'm
going to be
taking a win
rowdy. Okay. We're different then. I've got 1 and 2. You've got 2.
Nebraska's tough, man.
They're losing to Nebraska.
I'm a Matt Rule guy too.
I will
they
say
can
though,
win that game.
they will have a shot because Nebraska's going to need to
How about
throw
this?
the ball.
Give me a win against Nebraska, or give me a win against a battered Wisconsin team. They won't win in Madison though. All right, give me one of those.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
I think it's more likely that it's Nebraska, honestly.
So 2
'cause
with a possible third win at Illinois. They could win.
they will win. Oh,
So that's a
awful.
possible 4 already. But then you got Oregon loss.
It's a loss.
Northwestern's winnable. Probably a win.
Winnable, yeah.
4 with a possible 5. So I'm already there. But then after that,
The question will be, can they beat either Michigan State or Indiana? I don't think they're beating Michigan State at Michigan State. So can they win Indiana at Indiana?
I like Indiana this year. Last game of the season too.
But I think
me
we
over.
just said that I would lean under, but that's it's just gonna be a tough one.
TWD said it. That schedule is brutal.
Don't
You
know
ain't
that I
lying.
would bet that one.
Man,
Yeah, that Notre Dame
You
game.
have no idea how much I would love to be like, over, let's hit it. Really like this Purdue team. Really like the direction it's heading. It's tough to get them there with the teams they play. But you know what? You're playing in the Big Ten. It's not like next year's going to be easier. It's always going to be a tough schedule. So if you want to take the next step, you need to win some of these games. You need to upset Penn State in that game. You need to win one of those.
Yeah.
And I think
Getting Oregon and Ohio State
hold
is
on.
just unfair.
What is Penn State coming off of?
November 16th they're coming off of.
Washington. If you can get Penn State, you can get one of those teams.
You're getting Oregon off of Ohio State. Just saying. That's going to be a crazy day, October 12th. There's some
How many
games in
points do
there.
you think we're getting?
For that Purdue game?
For that Oregon
it depends.
game.
Oh, for the Oregon-Ohio State game?
No, Oregon.
Oh,
Purdue.
Oregon-Purdue. Depending on what happens the week before, it could be like a 3-touchdown line there. I mean, if Oregon comes off
what about
upsetting
this?
Ohio State,
Purdue, we got Notre Dame off the bye.
Notre Dame is a bye week too.
No. Oh, do they really?
Do they? Or is that what you're saying? Why does Purdue have a bye week
coming
too?
off. All right, over. Let's go on to the next team.
Who gets a bye week too?
Purdue does.
What the fuck is that?
And now we go to Andy's favorite team in the FBS for some reason.
I have been telling you since I think April. This is a lot of because of the schedule, but there are things to like for this team.
There's nothing to like on this team. This team
Okay,
sucks.
yeah, uh-huh.
This program's in shambles. So if you're unfamiliar with what's going on in Michigan State, it's a new era of football. Mel Tucker's gone after just 4 years. Not a successful tenure.
Not successful.
Mel
Well, for
Tucker.
1 year it was.
Yeah.
They had
The
1
Kenneth
year.
Walker year?
Yeah, that year was sick.
They're still searching for their next Kenneth Walker over there in Michigan State. So Jonathan Smith
they
takes
found
over. They got the Corvallis guy. He's been at Oregon State for like, what, seven years?
Jonathan
something
Smith,
like that?
yes.
So they got the Oregon State guy, took over as head coach, who brought his OC with them. Defensive coordinator is named Joe Rossi. He's been on PJ Fleck's staff at Minnesota for years, so like 7, 8 years now. So experienced guy, comes from the good defensive program. I don't know much about him, but seems like be the right type of hire for as much as I know. Michigan State, 72nd in returning production, 15 returning starters, just 5 on offense. And that's the question I have for Andy. Who's scoring points on this team? There's a bunch of new pieces. Yeah, they look like shiny new toys. Can they score? Go ahead, Andy. Tell us about your boy, Aiden Childs.
Yeah, so
that he
Aiden
thinks the second coming of Tom Brady.
Yeah, Aiden Childs is. If you don't know him now, you're gonna know him by the end of next year for sure. This kid's going to be insane. He's following Smith from Oregon State. He was the #1 rated quarterback transfer. That beats out Dylan Gabriel and all those guys that also transferred this year. He was ranked #1, and there's a reason for that. He didn't get to play much because they had DJ Uyunglele last year.
He's so good and so electric.
He
that
was
he didn't start with DJ.
he was a true freshman last year, and in the very little time he played, he looked amazing. Everybody from their camps are saying he's amazing. I trust that. I mean, he was he was one of the top rated quarterbacks in the country coming out.
Put Aiden Childs on the screen so they could see this guy that Andy's claiming is going to be a superstar.
And something that I do like about him, he was in this system last year. I said he followed Smith from Oregon State. That helps a lot. This is a quarterback that already knew how to run this system coming in. He can help teach everybody else around the system too. And I think I think the offense is the strength of the team, because I know we're going to talk about the defense. They lost a lot there. This offense has a lot of really good playmakers. I don't know if you wanted to.
Yeah. Okay. So the only running back that's back on the team is Nathan Carter.
Stud.
But he's also the only back that was any good last year. In fact, he rushed for like 800 yards last season. Did you know nobody else on Michigan State's team had more than 100 yards rushing on the season? Nobody. So yeah, he's the only running back, but he was the only one that was worth keeping. That was kind of insulting to phrase. If you're another running back on Michigan State, you're watching this.
No, you're right.
But they also brought in another running back from UMass, 1,100 yards last year. So yeah, they have a couple of backs. I'll give them that. Trey Mosley's gone, the receiver, but he missed most of last season with an injury anyway. Their tight end is gone though, and they like that guy Carr. He's gone. He transferred to Houston. Weird.
Sometimes we make the wrong decision.
I heard
in life.
Houston's got hella NIL money too. So maybe.
Well, it's in Houston, yeah, definitely.
He was the team's second leading receiver. They do bring back a couple pieces, and apparently they added this tight end named Velling, who's supposed to be good. I don't really know.
He was first team All Pac-12, I believe. So yeah, this is
All Pac-12 with who?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Where's Velling from?
Good question. I just wrote first team All Pac-12. I assumed it was Oregon State, but
hold on.
first team All Pac-12 is what I saw.
Yeah, it probably is Oregon.
Yeah,
State.
probably. But yeah, I think that this is the one spot where I think the offense is very young overall.
It's Oregon State.
Yeah, running with a quarterback that's very young. The offense is very young. Receivers are incredibly young, so that's a worry. But I think because he's a dynamic playmaker, he can run and throw. I'm okay with the running backs being the receivers being really young. Plus, that running back from Lynch Adams from UMass is a huge pickup, and Noah Carter is a stud. So overall, there's a ton of playmakers
I thought it was
on
Nathan
this
Carter. Is it Noah Carter?
Did I say Noah?
Yeah, I thought maybe I wrote it down wrong. No, it's Nathan Carter.
My bad.
Noah
Nathan,
Carter.
Sorry.
Who the hell's that?
I wrote just Carter. I don't
What a
know why I
stupid
said
bitch.
Noah. What a dumbass. But no, there are a ton of playmakers on this offense.
All right, so here comes the factor. And if you're wondering, if you're listening, thinking, hey, Kyle, so far Michigan State doesn't sound too bad. Ready for this? Offensive line. Gone. Gutted. It's going to be a rebuild. I mean, I don't think it could be worse than last year, but I also don't know if it's going to be better than last year. Their strength was their pass protection last year, and really weren't even good at that. They created zero space in the run game last year, but they're all gone. It's a brand new offensive line. Go ahead, defend it.
Yeah, very young on the O-line. They did bring in 2 veteran transfers, so that's solid, but you're really hoping that young guys can come through, so I do agree with you.
Good luck playing in a Big Ten schedule with no offensive line.
The youth does worry me, but I think the young guys will have to come through. But I do think the playmakers on the offense will help.
It's not important.
No, not important.
It doesn't matter, actually. You're right. Their quarterback's cool, and he's fun to play with in NCAA. Offensive line doesn't even matter.
He's actually not. This team's very hard to play with in NCAA.
He definitely gave it a trial run. All right, so no offensive line. On the defensive side of the ball, they lost 3 starters on the defensive line. It's all right, not important, Andy. Defensive line, who needs it?
Yeah, they lost one of those kids to Miami, too. There's a lot of transfers. They were late transfers, too, so they didn't even have an opportunity to replace some of these guys.
They did bring in the one kid.
They did hit on a... Well, the thing is if if there was no spring transfer window, this might have been one of the better defenses of Big Ten. They lost 2 really great players in the late transfer window. They couldn't do anything about that, so yeah. They got screwed a little bit here on defense, but...
They brought in that kid
Dunnigan.
Be
Awful.
First team All Conference USA from Middle Tennessee,
and a kid from Georgia Tech. So that they did bring. They did
him down.
Bring a couple transfers in. Yeah, they did have a little bit, but this defense did get screwed pretty hard by some of the guys that left. But
yeah,
solid.
Linebackers and secondary, I didn't really write any notes down.
Linebackers are secondary, all transfers. This is literally a kid from Arizona State, kid from UNC, kid from UCF and LSU. Rossi is known for having good pass defenses at Minnesota in the Big Ten, so that helps. And then
but he also had players.
Yeah, it's different. You're adding transfers, so we'll see if that mixes. And then the linebackers is good. Top tacklers back. They're young studs, so they like the linebacker core. The D-line is going to be rough. They're going to get run on a little bit here because they lost some guys. I mean, they lost probably who would have been one of the best D-linemen in the country, or in the Big Ten, I should say. So, yeah, it's a young defense. They're with a lot of transfers, so they're just hoping some of these. But also, their pass defense can't be much worse than it was last year, so like it could be better.
I'm looking at their schedule. They start 3-0 and then lose 9 straight.
Hold on.
9 straight. They start 3-0, then lose 9 straight. Michigan State.
I went on basketball.
You heard it here first. It's not exactly a sharp take. Look at their schedule. Good Lord.
So yeah, this is a 4-0 start.
4-0.
Yeah, they're going
Castellanos
to
is going to carve them up.
Yeah, good luck with that. 4-0. Then yeah, it gets brutal in the middle. But this was my point. The over-under's at 5. I have them at 4-0. You might not agree with that. You might think BC's going to beat them. you differ from me there. I think they're going to be 4-0. I think they can beat BC. I think it'll be a close game. After Michigan.
Dude, they could lose to FAU. Are you crazy?
After Michigan, they have to go 2-2 against 3 of the worst teams in the conference.
No, I like Indiana.
I know you
Illinois is tough. Purdue's coming into the stadium and winning that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Rutgers?
No, that's my point. Rutgers is probably the loss there.
Under.
So of those 3 games, you have to win 2. That's what I've been saying. I've been saying this team.
Is this still at 5? If 5
It
is
is
the
5.
ceiling.
It's
5
5.
is the ceiling. No, I'm going to make sure because you'd be
No,
writing
it's,
some crazy graphics on here.
6-win team here.
It's not a
6-win team. 6-win team. They're gonna be 4-0 to start. They
like
just
he
have
keeps-
to go
it's-
2-2 after
Prop
Michigan.
Beaver, it's like he
That's
keeps repeating it in the mirror. 6-win team. It's a 6-win team. I swear to God, it's 6.
I bet this in April. It was at 5.5, and it's now 5. That concerned me a little bit. That concerned me a little bit, but yeah, I got it at plus money, but yeah,
It's just a CLV merchant there.
this is me hoping that they go
Hold
2-2
on.
after Michigan.
I want to say
all I'm
something
saying.
real quick. It's now at 5. That's funny. All right. Michigan State. You can get a 4.5 now, Andy, on FanDuel. 5.
I got it on track.
Under. I honestly I think 5's the ceiling. So if I can get a 5, I'm looking at a push or a win, in my opinion.
That's what I have.
Next
Pusher
team.
Owen.
Boy. Let's look at the comments. Cards money line was call was crazy club. Oh, that was toast, like the Cards. Doug Lane, what's up, man? At Boston College,
Sparty gets beat by Prairie
They're
View.
losing at Boston
Come on,
College,
man.
Doug.
No, they're not.
And he's smoking
I
dust.
can't wait for that game. Oh my god.
I can't wait for the Boston College Michigan State game. As if there's not 150 better games than that.
There might not be. You don't know.
And I can't wait for just freaking SMU Nevada.
We're juiced for that one.
I laid the 24.5 and that shit. Terps. Let's talk Terps
This
football.
team sucks.
Pump the brakes on that. Okay. See, it takes like that I believe the market is off on this Maryland team. Okay. Michael Oxley's back for 16 season as head coach. This is a good head coach. Right?
Yeah, no, he's a fine head coach. I don't see any problem.
He's a fine head coach.
There's
He's
a lot
fine.
of fine with some of these
he's a
teams.
good. This program was in shambles. 3 winning seasons in a row. 3 straight wins in bowl games. This is a successful tenure and a successful head coach. Now, little worried about the production he's got coming back. 102nd in returning production. Just 4 starters returning on the offense. But here's the thing. Because of that 2022 season with Talia Tagovailoa, and they had those 2 receivers, and they were putting up all these points. They were putting up points on big-time Big Ten defenses. That was 2022, right?
Yeah.
This Maryland team got branded as this run and gun, no defense, high-powered offense. That's kind of how they got branded because of the 2022 team. That is not how they played last year. The defense took a big step forward last year, and I like the Maryland defense this year. That being said, the offense is concerning because they still had talent last year. Talia Tagovailoa is gone, by the way, the quarterback. He's playing for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Canadian Football League, I believe. So, yeah, Talia's gone. New quarterback's Billy Edwards Jr. He's been with the program for 2 years. I don't know much about him. He's been in the system for a couple of years, which is good. But other than that, do you know anything about him?
A quarterback, they love him.
Really?
I don't know shit about him, but they love him. All I know is he is very highly talked about by everybody at Maryland, and he was sitting behind Talia.
Right.
So
I like that.
I mean,
like
but
that.
this goes back to what we were saying about a bunch of. Of
Everyone
course,
likes their
players
players.
love. Of course,
Yeah.
coaches love their players. So
Every coach loves their team.
Yeah.
You give the worst team in the country, like, yeah, I like our guys.
I like our guys. We're gonna have a really good year this
What
year.
are they going to say? Like, our guys suck. Both running backs from last year are back, and both had solid, efficient rushing numbers last year. So they're good at running back. 5 of the top 7 wide receivers are back. Everything's looking good. Offensive line got crushed. Pretty sure they lost all 5 starters, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're all 5 are gone. Loxley said that 10 guys are gonna play on the O line this year. That terrifies me. That's way too much movement on the O line.
Yeah,
There's
that's a
no
lot.
way they're gelling
10?
together. 10 guys is ridiculous. That means you don't have a set. Guys,
Yeah, that means you don't have 5 good
Yeah,
ones.
that scares me. So as much as you were talking about Michigan State's O-line being a disaster, this is a
So the
tragedy.
offensive line's crushed just like Michigan State, and it concerns me. But on the other side, I mean, for the most part, the defensive line is back. And like I said, this was an underrated defense. This defense was actually pretty solid last year. It kind of flew under the radar because everyone thought of Talia Tagovailoa. They thought of the offense. The Maryland defense was pretty solid last year, and they bring a lot back, especially in the defensive front. This should be a solid run defense. A little worried about the secondary. Just 2 starters back, and they lost the safety who was their leading tackler. So, I mean, the secondary is a concern. But as a whole, I think the Maryland defense takes a step forward. It's the Maryland offense Billy Edwards Jr. takes over at quarterback. Offensive line's a concern. So I'm not huge on this Maryland team, but I completely disagree with this team sucks. They have a good head coach. Their defense should take a step forward. Let's take a look at the schedule.
Well, real quick, this is you said the one positive for this team was they had a lot of running backs back. They didn't run for shit last year. They were 123rd in run frequency.
I was looking at them.
So they were 123rd in run frequency though. So they weren't even trying to run, and that's all they're bringing back. That terrifies me. Like the one thing they were doing last year was throwing the ball with Tagovailoa. Now you have a young kid who's gonna throw just as much. That offense is set up to be awful.
That is a solid point.
I try.
But it's not really that it's not really that I believe in the Maryland offense. I believe in the coach, and I think the defense will be better. So, all right, let's look at the schedule.
Absolute heater week 1.
A heater and a win.
Yeah.
It's a loss.
They're 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give Michigan State that one.
It's about time.
At Virginia is tough.
That's going to be a tougher one than people think. Yeah.
I think that's a loss.
Yeah. Also, we've been talking a lot about FCS teams and how they've been favored. Villanova is one of the best FCS teams in the country this year. I'm just saying, be a closer game than you think. But this is a 2-2 team.
Just no. 2-2. Heading into the Indiana game, that's a loss on the road. Home Northwestern.
Yeah. They'll be Northwestern at home.
So that's 3 wins.
Yeah, then they're going to get the breaks.
Loss.
Yeah, that end of that schedule is brutal.
They don't win a game after October 11th, so I really hope they have their win total by then.
Yeah, they can't.
How are they at 6.5 wins?
That the Minnesota game's probably a toss-up to some people.
So they're giving them Minnesota, they're giving them Rutgers?
Well, they're giving them the first 5, right?
Hold on. Even if you give them...
And the Minnesota,
and you give them Rutgers, that's still only 6. So how is it 6.5? Where's the 7th win?
Oh, actually, they're giving them the first 6, dude.
Virginia?
Yeah.
Michigan State?
The Virginia's going to be looked at.
Giving them all these games.
Well, those are the ones that they're saying are winnable.
I'm betting this, dude.
Because USC is not winnable. Oregon, Rutgers, and Iowa and Penn State are not winnable. That'd be 7-5. But they're going to lose to Minnesota and probably Virginia. I am at 4 wins, respectfully.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think 6 would be the ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't like the established good head coach though. They find a way to fucking win games. But still.
He's fine.
He's a fine head coach. He's a fine head coach. Maryland. Damn it. Futures. Under 6.5 wins, betting it. Boom. I'm in.
Almost take an
alternate.
alternate.
To the Discord real quick so I don't forget.
Got one more team, right?
All right, next. Bruins. Oh, by the way, I know I put Illinois in the tweet. I didn't have a chance to get to it. But now that Prop Beaver's back, we're going to pick it up. I can probably do more a day to get us. We'll be ready before the season starts. All right. UCLA. Chip Kelly gone. Not fired. He pieced.
Yeah, he wanted to stop recruiting. That's like a serious thing.
He said that?
Yeah, he said he was done recruiting. But the way
Honestly,
that NIL...
I've never done it. Sounds like a pain in the ass.
He wanted to go to Ohio State. He can just call plays, and he makes about the same amount of money. So, yeah.
Honestly, it seems like a win-win.
I respect it. Yeah, respect it.
Definitely a rough start to the tenure for Deshaun Foster, that press conference. I feel bad. Clearly, he just messed up. And like obviously the internet.
He was trying to be funny. I think he was just trying to be funny. He came in. You guys might not know us. We're from he's coaching at one of the
If
most
he was trying
popular
to be
universities.
funny, he should have said something more ridiculous, like 900 or something.
Maybe.
Because I feel like
was
he
just trying
said
to
a
be
number
funny.
that like could have been.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Deshaun Foster takes over as head coach in his first press conference. What did he say exactly?
Well, he walked up to the Big Ten Media Day podium and he said, "You may not know us, but we play in Los Angeles." And like, I think he was trying to be funny because like UCLA is one of the biggest brands in the world, but because they moved to the Big Ten and everybody was like questioning why they did it. Like, it was a stupid joke, and I thought it was dumb, but like,
well, it was a joke.
He was trying to be funny.
I like that because I honestly was like kind of defending him, like guys, like yo, it's easy to fuck up. So like, I like the fact that he was joking even more. So anyway, he takes over as head coach. Eric Bieniemy takes over as offensive coordinator. What a weird course of events. Do you remember? It was a year and what was like 14 months ago, where the narrative was Eric Bieniemy wasn't getting a head coaching job in the NFL because he was a black guy, and now he's the OC at UCLA. It's just like a crazy. And look, I know that the season with Washington was highly criticized. The play calling. It wasn't a great look for him. Probably regret
it was fucking atrocious. No racism there, just bad play calling.
Okay, I still don't see how someone takes that big of a step backwards based on one season where, let's face it, he didn't have a lot of offensive talent personally, but whatever. He's the OC here at UCLA. We'll see. I really don't know what to make of that. The guy that got the head coaching job has far less experience than Bieniemy does. Deshaun Foster's been the running backs coach here at UCLA for a while. But anyway, they bring back a lot of production. 21st in returning production, 7 returning starters on offense. Looks like Ethan Garbers is going to be the week 1 starter. And at first, I thought Dante Moore would rather be the backup quarterback at Oregon than the starter at UCLA. But we talked about it, and do you think Dante Moore just lost the job?
Yeah, I thought he lost the job last year. He got hurt after a couple of bad games, and then Garbers was kind of doing like a decent job. They gave Moore a shot when he came back. He wasn't playing well, so he lost the job completely. And I think it's better for him to go sit behind Dylan Gabriel for a year than be a part of the mess that's going to be UCLA this year, because I do think this team's not built. This offense is not built right to me. I think they have one good running back, and they're a team that has a former running back as an offensive coordinator and a running back coach as their head coach. They're clearly going to want to run the ball. They have one running back with it.
I don't hate the offense though.
I don't think it's built correctly.
Let's talk about the team. So Ethan Garbers is a quarterback. Their RB1 is gone. Carson Steele. He's on the Chiefs now.
Mm-hmm.
RB2 and RB3 are back though, and dude, their running back.
No, the one guy is very good.
Yeah.
Harden is a very good running back.
Harden.
Harden.
So Harden's going to be the main back there. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's solid. They just don't have anything behind him. And like one good running back for a team that's going to want to run the ball a lot.
I'm not too worried about
30 carries a game.
The 3 starters back on the offensive line. I think they'll be able to run the ball. UCLA's run game was sneaky good last year.
It was all they were good at because their pass team was
top 3
not
wide
good.
receivers are back, and they actually added a kid from Notre Dame. I'm not mad at the offense. The offensive line should be in good shape. If this kid Ethan Garbers is decent, I think UCLA will score some points. It's on the other side. This UCLA team last year, the entire team was the pass rush. They had 2 of the best edge rushers in the country. Well, probably they had the one dude, Latu, who went first round to the Colts, best player on the team. He's obviously gone, first round pick. But the other edge rusher is gone too. He graduated. He had 8 sacks. This team had...
They lost 27 sacks on the D-line.
27?
27 sacks from last season.
How did they lose 27?
They lost the top 5 starters on the D-line.
Oh, I wrote down. Okay. I wrote down
27 sacks for a team that was known for their pass rush.
Right, for a team that literally wrote its pass rush. This was one of the best pass rushes in the country last year. UCLA, they're all gone. They're all gone. The whole defensive line. So, if you take away the thing that made this team good last year, it's really concerning. They also lost their main linebacker. He's on the Giants now. Their inside linebacker. So. I wrote down major losses to the secondary as well. I didn't write down any names or anything. But
they have just one starter back on the secondary. I actually think, and it's kind of the way that I feel that we felt about Colorado and Utah. I think the numbers I mean, their pass defense was pretty good last year anyway, but I don't think it'll take that big of a drop off because, again, I don't think the quarterbacks in the Big Ten are nearly as good as what they were facing in the Pac-12 last year.
That's hogwash.
Well,
That's
okay,
hogwash.
hogwash it is, but
Big
I'm
Ten,
just saying.
You just always hating on the Big Ten. Doug
I
Wayne
don't
says
hate the
UCLA
Big
3 wins.
Let's look at the schedule because I know they play
right.
Hawaii week 2, and I'm not convinced they're going to win that one.
UCLA. Here we go. You're not convinced. In Honolulu.
That's why.
Hawaii
Tough place to travel and go play.
Hawaii will have a game under their belt, too.
Exactly. It's a
Yo,
tough game to go play.
They're not going to lose, though. Maybe you want to take the Hawaii
The
to
line's
cover.
13. Not a super wide line for
Are
a
you
Big
giving
Ten
them a
team.
loss week 1 in Hawaii? Stop it.
No, we can't chalk that up. I'm just saying that
Indiana
I'm going
week
to be
2
betting.
stuff.
Yeah,
They got to buy, though.
Oh yeah, they get a bye post Hawaii. That's weird. Yeah, I'll give them. I'll give them.
They
I'll
should be
2-0. I'll give them 2-0.
Yeah, it should be 2-0, but
Then they play LSU for some reason.
Oregon. Penn State.
Oh my god, they get Minnesota at home.
Yeah, but how about this? I think they'll drop either Indiana or Minnesota.
Okay.
So that puts us at 2 wins after Minnesota at Rutgers.
Oh,
Loss.
that's a loss.
No one's beating the Rut this year.
Nobody's beating Nebraska. That's Nebraska.
Nebraska
They do
lost.
get. They
So
are
hold
off
on.
a
Am I at 2
bye.
wins right now?
Yeah.
One of the Indiana and Minnesota games and Hawaii. It's
Yeah.
2 wins. Going into Iowa. Loss.
Yeah, I like Iowa.
At
They could beat
Washington,
Washington.
yeah.
That's a game
Okay,
they're
so that's
comfortable and
3.
familiar with.
USC loss. And I mean, they could beat USC, though, that weird rivalry.
I don't think they can. I think
No, I
USC's
mean, they
a
should
sneaky
lose. So
team.
4 wins. Is
Yeah,
that
and that's a
5?
game. That's including a Hawaii game that I
Jesus
think
Christ,
they
I
could.
want to bet this one, too.
I'm betting the under here. Yeah, I might take an alternate here because I think they're going to lose to
I want
Hawaii.
to bet this one, too. God damn it. Okay. So our graphic says minus 135. It's actually more expensive than that. So it's minus 155, minus 175. You're grabbing
Oh, must
5.
have changed.
You have to grab a 4.5. So that's why. Okay, so 4.5. Even though I think 4.
I think they're getting 3 wins.
I think 3 or 4 is. So yeah, it would still be under for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you can't get a 5, I don't think I would actually bet it.
Yep.
All right, that's the last game. Thanks everyone for watching. Be back tomorrow 4 p.m. We'll do a bunch more.